Wars rarely end with a bomb being dropped or soldiers charging into a castle. They often end with the invading force slowly pulling back and letting the civilians slowly revolt. Or if they want the population dead, they leave machines to do the job automatically. At the end of a 100-year-long war, humanity had left its weapons to finish the job. A colossal fortress was built atop a jagged tower of limestone, each pillar a perfectly shaped hexagon, towering hundreds of feet into the air of the almost barren world. Within the limestone, hundreds, if not thousands of tape reels worked away, making up the mind of a highly advanced computer. While around it, 6 rectangular boxes sat, each one containing a human. When they were living, they had been fitted with biosuits to prolong their lives and helmets designed to connect their minds to the computer. Now, their bodies sat limp, bone exposed through the decayed flesh under their clothing, sheltering the only thing still alive, their brains. The computer finally came to life with green light illuminating the domed room as a screen built into the ceiling lit up. 342 months since last deployment. Colony detected. Mission: destroy heathens. No life signs detected within secondary computer functions. Begin automated deployment. Deeper within the fortress, several feet into the limestone, another section of the fortress came to life. Under the belly of a colossal beast, hundreds of mechanical belts extended up, snaking around and flopping back and forth trying to find the port they were aiming for, before each one by one clicked into their ports, and 1,000 a second, bullets began to feed into the beast, 1,000 passing by every second, filling colossal drums. Between the chassis of the beast with 2 halves held together with rusted bronze steel girders holding it together, 16 colossal arms rose up holding 40-meter-long cylinders. Each one fitted with 4 fuel engines and large fins along the side. With a heavy clunk, they were forced into the beast's belly, and as the arms retracted from them, they swung gently, almost free between the 2 halves of the body. The 1-meter-thick electrical cable wormed its way up the body, plugging into a large port near the nose, forcing out 43 years of dirt as it plugged in. The onboard computer switched on a computer the size of a bookshelf. Automated pilot active, autonomous heavy payload aircraft online, arming process, 50%, 60%, 70%, failure. Cancel loading process, begin engines. The tubes feeding the bullets into the machine snaked back into the floor, away from the colossal aircraft. As 100 locks holding the wheels in place came undone retracting. Higher within the fortress, the main computer lit up again, running through its logic. Open runway door. Runway blocked. Reactor 15 destroyed, inactive. Relocate power from secondary thinking modules. The 6 gray boxes around the central computer slowly shut off one by one, going dark, as down within the fortress, the colossal doors in front of the aircraft began to slide open. The stagnant air that surrounded it got sucked out with such force that pieces of loose machinery, bullets, and parts got sucked out with it, causing a green cloud to bellow out into the white sky. Begin engine ignition sequence. Engines 418 and 1218 are unresponsive. Correcting power output on remaining engines to compensate. Thrust output at 25% higher from starting 50%. The colossal aircraft rolled out of the hangar into the sunlight for the first time in years. On one side a woman was painted and sat on a stool, barely dressed, except for a towel covering her breasts, the words, "Happy Rider" written to the side. The rest of the aircraft was rusting away loose panels of steel, peeling away the entire thing scorched dirty with soot and burn marks. With a wingspan of 400 feet and a length of 200, the tail was turned upside down, with 3 additional rudders above the nose. 6 turrets lined the top side of the aircraft, mounted on rails, with 2 more in the nose and tail. The engine span up slowly, faster and faster, as it began to trundle down the runway, testing its control surfaces as it went. Right railer on suffering movement. Piston 4-5 unresponsive. Second rudder missing. Fluid venting to the exterior. Remaining control surfaces intact and active, situation acceptable. The aircraft, as it picked up speed, slowly lifted into the air, the wheels breaking from the tarmac, each set of wheels retracting as they left the ground. Gliding through the air, the colossal aircraft swayed gently, the computer trying its hardest to keep itself on course. It soared higher and higher, across oceans and ruined cities. Eventually, a small 6-engined rocket-powered fighter came up behind it and launched from one of the ancient alien air bases on the ground. The computer within the bomber quickly assessed the situation. Zachin fighter detected, repelling assailant. Before the bomber could react, the fighter opened fire, two 30mm cannons firing a constant, almost unbroken stream of bullets for 2 seconds before the barrels overheated, glowing a deep orange. The rounds tore into the set section of the hull, as all 6 turrets rotated around from their position, one of them being shredded, letting out a flow of black smoke. The 3 remaining turrets on the right side of the airframe slid down the right side of the hull till the enemy fighter was in a better position, as the 2 remaining on the left and the 2 tail guns to aim. All 7 guns opened fire at once, releasing a river of 80mm machine gun rounds, tearing the fighter to shreds in less than a second, leaving nothing but scraps to fall to the ruined city below. Turret 3 inactive, transferring remaining ammunition to Turret 1-5. The computer read out as the tapes that made up its simple mind worked away. Hull structure optimal, continue mission. For half a day, the bomber continued its course, passing over many more cities and towns, each one almost flattened, leaving colossal fields of rubble. Once it passed over a second ocean, it was met with a vast woodland, where the planet was recovering. Life that didn't exist hundreds of years ago thrived within this dense forest. Yet far off in the distance, a small camp existed, which a camera mounted to the lower hull of the aircraft quickly trained on. Genetic composition matches Zachin heathens, 30%. Commence operation recycle. All automated logical systems are to continuously destroy living organisms of class 5 till genetic similarities are below 60%. The bomber went on to scan 6 more camps further in the distance, finding similar results. Below, the tribal people looked up at the colossal steel bird. No one there knew what they were looking at, just a colossal dark bird leaving a dark trail in the sky. They began to call similar creatures the equivalent of dragons, as other tribes were destroyed by them in ancient history. No one panicked or tried to run, just looking up, as if they knew what was about to happen. When dragons appeared, no one escaped. The most they did was hug their loved ones. High above, the bomber released the first 3 bombs, and the wailing of the pulse engines was instant screaming and rumbling as it shot the bomb past its natural full speed, burying it into the earth. When the bombs landed in and around the camp, they didn't explode. It sat there for a moment, and the tribesmen gathered around looking at it. Maybe it had spared them. Maybe the dragon saw pity. That was till, with the pulse engine still rumbling, the gray shell of the bomb flew off, landing a few feet away and exposing huge fabric tanks of hydrogen. Almost in slow motion, the bolts holding the pulse engines broke a small acidic vial within them, finally burning through enough for them to break. As the engines fell, all 4 split the bags open, spilling liquid hydrogen onto the ground, and instantly, as soon as they were cut, the heat from the glowing engines ignited the hydrogen. Every few seconds, a giant mushroom cloud rose above the canopy of the forest, glowing a deep blue and filled with black smoke. The bomber turned the computer, making one final calculation. Set target for runway, crash landing only option. Lob den Drachen. The aircraft gently turned its colossal wings, cutting white trails into the air as it made its way back home. Author's name and the link to original text is in the description. Consider tapping the thumbs up and pressing the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video.